How do you know if you are ready to buy an online business and replace your income? Hi, I'm Jared Krause. I'm host of the Buying Online Businesses podcast. And today I'm speaking with Scott, who is a Bob community member who's been quite active in helping people with their journey of making money online silently in our group. And I wanted to bring him on the podcast to talk about some important topics that not enough people are talking about in the online business space. Topics around buying a site, topics around starting a site, the differences in those. Scott has, done both and is looking to continue buying sites and why. We also talk about where you should start in online business in terms of if you were to buy a site, how much for and why. We talk about money mindset. We also go back to the start about where did Scott start in his online business. We talk about how he got into dropshipping, how he sold that business and then wanted to buy a business, but in fact got itchy feet and tried to start one without any luck, which you will all see is very normal when starting a site. We also talk about how much money and most importantly time you can lose when chasing shiny object syndrome. We talk about the path and how long it can take you to replace your income with different methods and modalities. We talk about mistakes people make on their journey when trying to replace their income. We talk about money mindset and many philosophies that I believe that you must know to be able to get yourself closer to success, which is probably replacing your income with less effort and less money. If you understand some of these philosophies, there's so much value in this podcast episode. You're absolutely going to love it. Before we get stuck in, Scott and I talk about due diligence a little bit in this podcast episode. If you haven't got my due diligence framework and you want to buy an online business, you'd be silly not to get it. It takes the guesswork out of buying an online business. That's what I use, what Scott uses, what all of our clients use to buy online businesses. So make sure you get that at buyingonlinebusiness.com/free resources. There's other cool resources on that page as well. Let's dive into the episode. Do you want to build or grow your content website? Niche website builders have helped hundreds of people to take their content websites from a few $100s per month to over tens of thousands of dollars per month with crafted content creation, buying age domains, and link building strategies. These strategies have helped people increase their traffic, authority, monthly earnings, and their website valuation too. Head to nichewebsite.builders/BOB/ to get 10% off any link building or 10% more from their content creation services. That's nichewebsite.builders/Bob/. I'll put a link in the description too. Scott, welcome to the Buying Online Business podcast.
Thank you, buddy. Great to be here.
Yeah, great to have a chat with you. Everybody that's listening, Scott is a Bob member in our Buying Online Business community. And Scott put a really cool post it was a public service announcement post, wasn't it, Scott, in the Bob community Facebook group. And since then has been getting messages frequently from people wanting to do a similar thing that you've done, read your public service announcement and wanted to sort of chat and discuss with you about that. We're going to come to that post in a second, and we're going to come to all of that discussion around starting a site versus buying a site and some of the things that you've mentioned in that post. But first and foremost, I wanted to ask you, how did you come to the point that you wanted to earn an income online? And then the second question would be, once you realized you wanted to earn an income online, how did you find the route? How did you get to, all right, I'm going to join the Bob Buying Online Businesses community and buy a business?
Yeah, look, like a lot of people, just probably, looking to diversify, what they're already doing. And then, seeing, we've got money in hedge funds and stocks and just a whole bunch of other alternative investments. So I'm quite stocked up on those sorts of things, crypto, you name it. So I bought a website a couple of years ago, which was a dropshipping site, and sold that, and that was a bit of a nightmare, to be honest. And then was looking for kind of something else, and kind of came down this rabbit hole, if I'm really honest, which has been great, So I think the word that sort of the phrase that you coined a couple of weeks ago, which was teaching the man how to fish, because I'd been going to the store, buying the fish, and then wondering why it stunk, to be honest, to put it bluntly. And so that's how come I came to, I'd seen you quite a lot and listening to you, and then we had a few messages and just trying to work out what you do, how you do it, and then going, okay, there's a certain part of the market that you look to help people in, and this was one of them, because I think this is the due diligence is the hardest part. So, and plus all the knowledge that you have behind the due diligence, plus buying sites. So you're not just a preacher, but you're also a teacher, because you're walking the talk.
Yeah, cool. Thanks. So you bought a dropshipping site. Let's just unpack that quickly, because you have mentioned this to people in the community as well. For those of you who aren't in the community, it's a paid community, and there's a lot of interaction and cool things going on between members and learning from one another, and people asking questions. How do I do this sort of SEO thing? How do I do that? How do I do this through due diligence? And it's not just a course where Jared's just telling you what to do. It's everybody that's helping you and supporting you. So I'm really proud of everybody that's in there. It's a pretty cool place, Scott, but we won't harp on that. Tell us about the dropshipping site, and share everything and anything that you want to share, and then hold back on figures if you don't want to share figures and stuff too.
Shit, no, mate. You know me. I'm pretty. I'm always up front, and I don't give a shit, to be really honest with you, Jared, because so it was a done for me drop shipping site. I'm based in New Zealand. It was a luxury outdoor furniture, so high ticket items.
So so you went and hired somebody to start your business.
Yeah, it was kind of an acquaintance knew about it. Sorry, he was setting up drop shipping sites for himself and other people. So he set it all up, and I effectively bought it off him. So the biggest expense to that business, as you know, was Google AdWords, and finding people that are good at Google AdWords was really difficult at that time. It was just a freaking nightmare, to be really honest with you. But we started getting a bit of traction down the road, maybe 6-7 months, and then that was just before COVID. And then, of course, the supply was just it was running all through Shopify, which is a good site, of course, but we were just doing more refunds than we were, getting orders through. So we were making money, which was great, but it was freaking hard work. And, we just our ratings with Shopify, we'd get a few messages from them going, what's going on? How come you're refunding? Is this a scam? Blah, 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 blah. So we got a couple of messages like that. And I was just like, oh. So the guy that I set it up and brought it from, he said to me, oh, look, if you're ever thinking about selling, let me know. And it was kind of timely, because I was like, holy heck, yep, I'm pretty keen to get out of this, because it was just like we were just, by that time we were refunding more than we were putting through, and we were just trying to make the business, and it was easy to run. I was probably spending maybe a couple of hours a week putting orders through. They were being shipped out fine. The stuff was really good quality, so I was really happy with the quality. I was really happy with the suppliers. But when they had the stock in, it was fantastic, and most of the time towards the end of it, they didn't. So I sold that. I vendor financed the guy out of, who was wanting to buy that. He was based in the States, and he lost it was just before COVID, then he lost his job. So there's kind of this thing in the back of me going, damn, vendor finance, all that sort of stuff. So it took him 2 years to pay me out, and that's okay. But kind of that once bitten, twice shy type thing, and it was a bit of a nightmare. So I don't have all the figures in front of me. Sorry, Jared.
That's okay.
Can't remember. We were making 50% margin on the stock
after ads.
Before.
Okay, yeah. So
that was just a bit of a night.
Yeah. So
the ads chewed up most of that profit.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So that was kind of a it was good. It was good to learn that, but I sure shit wouldn't want to do that again, man. Because,
why would you not do it again?
Because I think it was really tough to get it out. The supply chain is obviously quite hard at the moment with e-commerce, and also I just felt really bad for not being able to get clients their stock. So, you're taking money in, and then, I'm like straight onto it. I believe we've got, great customer service, as you need to have with any business. But I felt like I was scamming them. And I know that sounds weird, but I honestly felt that way, because I was like, I've got your money. I don't know when I can get you this product. And so I would just email them straight away and go, hey, look, I'm not sure when this can come in. And they're like, well, hey, what's going on? It says, you can do it. So there was that side. and then just the margins after. So we'd have to look for something. If I did it again, I mean, those were high ticket items. To be fair, mate, we were probably spending 200 to 300 US a month in Google AdWords. So it's that probably about close to 400, 450 New Zealand, I suppose. So that
Dollars.
was,
So
but
you're only spending
yeah,
like a couple hundred
dollars.
bucks. Okay, so it's not much at all.
Yeah, so that wasn't a lot, but by the time you took, that was about 200 to 300 a month just to start with. We just kind of kept it at that level, and we spent a bit more some months. And because the states has varying seasons, we could kind of we'd target the season that was applicable to, say, I don't know, Florida versus LA versus New York versus, say, the Midwest.
Was it a
So
US customer base, US
yeah,
products? Yeah, okay, got you. Cool.
everything, all the supplies were there.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
So yeah.
let's move on from that one. Unless you find there's pretty important lessons in that you would share with somebody.
Look, the major two things, like I said before, was the Google AdWords, finding someone, if you can do that yourself, or you know how to do that, or you can find somebody to do it, great. But also the supply, Jared. The supply was the really kicker. It was just a really hard business. But drop shipping as a whole is fine. It just wasn't me.
Yeah, it can be done. It's not me either. I think a lot of people have heard my drop shipping stories. But it's there's so many hats to wear in e-commerce business, and I don't do it myself. Like I'm not looking to buy more e-commerce businesses because I'd rather have a more simple business to run. Cool. So let's talk about your public service announcement. Why did you make this public service announcement in our Bob community, and what was it about?
Yeah, look, two parts of it. I've made a few friends on the site as I've kind of come in and answered questions that I kind of know a bit about, and
A few friends
also
where, sorry?
a few friends on the the Bob community. I've made
Right.
a few friends and kind of listening to them and how they were struggling to find a site.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw a few posts every now and then talking about people starting their own sites, or finding done for you sites or whatever. And I was compelled to say, hey, look, here's where I'm at. Here's what I've done. And you kind of knew a little bit about that backstory with the site that I had, which is Small Dogs. And I was just like, right, I've just got to say something, because this would be really unfair to sit on this information without saying, this is only my point of view. This is what I'm doing, but it doesn't mean that it's the right or the wrong answer. So the public service announcement was just to help people kind of rethink about where they were going, because at any one time, and this happened to me, right? I went to Motion Invest and I said, hey, look, I'm trying to find a site, and I went down there. This is before I came to you, of course. So this is I'm trying to do a bit of due diligence there, but not really knowing what to do. And then the guy was like, oh, that site's sold, and I'm like, oh, fudge. All right, and then you go to the next one. You know the story, Jared. It's nothing new. Everyone's been down this track. And so I got one of the salesmen who was from Brand Builders, which is also owned part of the Motion Invest Group, said, "Oh, why don't you do I want you to do a site that you like. It'll be easier." And so I unfortunately took his advice, because frustration had set in, and also it was a niche that I kind of knew a little bit about, and so I was thinking, cool, these ideas how to do it, and so. Look, it's been a really interesting experience, but I really wanted people to know that, trying to, I don't know, cut corners by either setting up your own, like, I still haven't proven the concept, as you talk about a lot. The concept's still got to be proven. It's only what are we now? It's just end of July, so it's still only a really early site. It's still only 6-7 months old. We launched just end of January. We've put probably close to 70, 80,000 words on there of content. And that's at its own expense. So I guess I wanted people to know that, technically I've spent around about 7,200 American, which is the cost of the site plus the cost of content, buying content, and for lots of content, And so with that, Jared, technically, if you had say even a 35 multiplier, I should be sitting on $200 a month.
Yeah.
$200 a month. That's revenue, not profit, but I should be sitting, somewhere around that.
So we still need to give it a bit of time.
Totally,
as
mate. I
well.
totally understand
So
that.
we'll probably have to have this conversation in another 6 months' time and see how it's going. But the fact is that it's like people have this ideology of that I want to buy an online asset and earn income online so I can replace my income of my current job. And they have this idea of wanting to do it as quickly as possible. Usually they hear a case study from our community members that have bought a site within 3 to 6 months of joining. And yeah, that can be realistic, but everybody's got a different situation. And more often than the case, it takes so much longer. Like, you're going to replace your income. Like, why would you only give yourself 3 to 6 months? Why would you only give yourself under a year, under 2 years to achieve that goal? Like, it's not just, and this is where it stuffs up most people, is they hear a case study or they see something that somebody's made $1 million in 1 year and they go, all right, I'm going to set my goal at that. And if they don't achieve it, then they run off and try and chase the next thing because they think that model or that route of earning an income online doesn't work for them. When the fact is, any of the routes, like buying a business, can work for anyone as long as you stay the course. And I think there's so many people that leave. It's unfortunate. People will leave this space and go, it's too hard to find a site. They're not patient. They don't know how to do due diligence, and they'll leave this space and then go and try and start these sites like you have. And then, so basically similar story to you, is trying to find one, don't know how to do it, can't find a decent one that they can't execute on quickly enough because they're not trained and skilled in due diligence. And then they go to the route of like, I'm going to start something, realize 90% of all startups fail. And there's so many people that have come to the Bob community that have done this exact path and then come in and gone, okay, I need to give myself a big chunk of time because this is a big goal. Like, it's a life-changing goal once you achieve it. Totally. And they understand it can take 2 years or more to do, 4 years or more. I would say if it took me 4 years to replace my current income, let me have it. I'd do it, right?
Exactly.
It's totally worth that time. But why do people have this short-sighted mindset of, I'm going to do this in like under a year or under 2 years? Even most people will be like, I want to buy a business within 3 to 6 months. I'm like, do you understand what it takes to buy a business? Do you understand like how much of a feat this is? And it's not like, we'll come back to another point about, we'll compare this to stocks and crypto and investing amounts and stuff like that. But like you said, you've spent around 10,000 Aussie dollars and you're still crossing your fingers at the moment.
Totally.
Crossing your fingers.
That's exactly what it is, mate. That's exactly what it is. And so, I've still got to keep pumping the car full of gas. That's the thing. It's still, AKA content. It still needs some more content. And, if you thought about buying a business like, I don't know, getting married, like you were single and went, you know what? In 3 to 6 months, I want to be married. That's what I'm saying. That's where, and because you've got to remember that, if you're looking to replace your cash flow, all the wealthy people that they didn't just try and replace their cash flow, right? They take a part and they go, right, I will replace part of my cash flow. And with that, I'll do some more and more and more and more. That's how you become wealthy, not just rich. So, to say, well, I'm going to replace, it's an investment. This is what people forget. It's an investment. Because I always said, look, sure, it'll replace part of my cash flow at some point. But right now, even if I bought one, that was, say, earning, I don't know, at 25K US, earning $500 or $600 a month, it's going to take you a while. Yeah. And you've got to think about that. And if you think about 4 years, holy heck, to replace your income in 4 years, that is friggin' nothing, really.
It's an amazing feat. Like to replace your income in 4 years, 5 years even, it's life-changing. I think about it like, if people are going to go to college or university, what do you get after you go away and do that? Like, to go through 4 years of education what do you come out with? And is it
Mm.
life-changing? You come out with a ticket that can help you or aid and assist you to get a better job. But if you go away and educate yourself in a year how to buy a business, and then spend the next year or two after that buying a couple and working with them, and then 4 years, 5 years later, you've got this whole education, and it's mostly action based, not theory based, which is why I believe that you achieve so much more, because in college and stuff like that, it's all just theory, like mostly theory. You have some prac stuff, of course, but there's so much more action in the doing of buying a business.
Totally.
And yeah, after a 4 year, 5 year education, you come out and like your life can be completely different. Like you may not have to work for the rest of your life. Whereas when you finish college, you do have to work for the rest of your life.
And most people do that because they've got to pay off a loan, right? They've got a loan.
Well,
and
that's
so,
correct.
you know.
And the cost, the expense of college is, I don't know how much because I've never been to college. Like it can be 20 to 60, maybe even 100K. I don't know. Like imagine if you took just like, let's play the middle ground, right? Let's imagine if it was 50K for a 4 year education. Imagine if you went, right, cool, I'm going to take 50K and 2 or 3 years and I'm going to buy a business with it. Imagine how much better off you would be. You wouldn't have debt either. You would have a business for probably more than 50 grand by the time you finish your 4 years, because you're going to build it as well. Like it's how are you investing your time and money? I think that's something we'll come back to as well. What do you tell people? Because you said there's a bunch of people that are in the Bob community, and it's so good. Everybody's like connecting and networking and chatting with you and stuff about this stuff, and everybody's talking with everybody else as well, which is really cool. The networking and the support around the community is phenomenal. And what do you guys, what are these people coming to you and chatting with you about? What sort of advice do you giving to them?
Start with the experience first. Tell them, how much I've spent, where I'm at right now, and there's still a lot of the runway to go. Okay, and I've still got to put, like I said before, I've still got to put some more money in. So, and then this is still pre-rev. So it's not. It's a startup. It's exactly a startup. It's not post-rev. It's that. So they've come to me and they've gone, hey, I've got some skills in SEO, or I've been hit up by someone who said they can set up a site for me, and then in a couple of months' time, like it's just like, yep, that's fine. That's really cool that you've got those skills or whatever. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to circumvent the whole Bob community, right? You're trying to circumvent that by saying, well, actually, if I set it up, I can get rid of the due diligence part, or I can get rid of searching for a site, or I can get rid of blah, 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 And I'm just going, look, just because you can't find one doesn't mean you won't. Imagine if you're trying to find a girlfriend or a boyfriend and you said, I can't find one in a month. That's it. I'm off the market. I'm going to make my own wife. It's look, I don't mean to say it's crazy, but I'm just trying to say there's hundreds of thousands of sites for sale. You just got to keep trucking. You got to keep looking. You got to keep finding. That sort of to say. And I say, know how much you want to spend, and then what parts in that middle do you need to do? Okay, so you've got the due diligence course. You know how to do it. What's a part that scares you that you need to do? Is it talking to the seller? Is it negotiating? Is it what bits do you think? Is it post buying? Once you bought it, you're going, shit, I'm not sure how I know how to run this and how would I grow it. Great. Well, jump back in the community. But you're still going to have those problems, but you're going to have them in a larger extent because you're right back at the beginning. And do not pass go, do not collect $200 because you're still trying to get forward again, So I just try and point them to that, just giving them info.
Yeah, it's really cool to explain that in that sense. Like the way I see it is people will come in, and this is why I mentioned people have a goal of like, I want to buy a business in 3 to 6 months, and they find it's harder than they expect, right? They have like, oh, just go and buy a business off the rack, off the shelf. Yeah, there's a lot of them, but a lot of the good ones get sold really quick, which is why you need to be skilled and trained in due diligence to execute promptly. And then also people will just take it and go, oh, this is too hard. Then they'll run off and chase the other shiny object syndrome and get burnt.
Yeah.
and that's why I'm trying to tell people, like, and this podcast episode, I guess we're going to disqualify a lot of people, and I'm glad, because I don't want them to waste their time and their money joining Bob
Correct.
and then working out that, like, this isn't the route for them. And I also don't want to waste their time and money, mostly a lot of time, years and years, in the startup realm, when they could be like, well, maybe I will just spend a year or two in Bob and put that money towards buying something established and be patient with it. So you've got these different routes, and they're not the only two routes to make an income online. But I'm so glad you mentioned that, because literally what's happening is people will come to this route of, I want to buy a business, realize it's too hard, and then they go towards something even harder, realize that that's too hard, and then they come back and they're like, oh, I really stuffed up and I spent a lot of time and money. I should have just stayed the course.
Yeah, totally.
Which is a
Yep.
total shame, right? And that's what you're trying to help. And I'm grateful to you, because people are, on the precipice of going away, and, even want to stay in Bob and do it. So like, they're on the precipice of taking that route of chasing this shiny object syndrome, and it really, really stuffing them up. So yeah, I'm grateful towards what you're doing and chatting with people. And I'm sure that they are as well, because you're saving them a lot of time and money. And the point, to come back to the startup, right? Yeah, there's a lot of people out there that can say you could start one from scratch and play on the part where, oh, it's really hard to buy a business. Why don't you just start one in a niche that you like, right? They tick all the boxes of the things, like, I can't find a niche that I like. I can't find something that's, well, they just tell you what you want to hear, sell you a starter
Totally.
site, and then you forget that 90% of startups fail. So I've spoken to a lot of great people like Carl in the niche content site space that start businesses, start content websites. Carl Broadbent, and also forget his name, from WP Eagle, uh, and even people that own content agencies that do start sites. I know, as a matter of fact, the big portion of them that they do start fail, like a big portion. And even these agency owners are open to sharing that. They don't share that publicly, but it's the reality. It's like the numbers. It's a numbers game. It's just like when you're doing sales, you can get X amount of leads in, and there's only going to be a certain amount that do convert. And it's the same with starter sites. So I think it's not the best service to be selling that sort of stuff
Me too.
if you don't have confidence that you can achieve a result for people. And it's just something for people to consider. So yeah, thanks for your share in the public service announcement. Would you have anything to add to that, or any other questions for me around this?
Yeah, look, I do actually, and the one part of I think I've always believed in, and I kind of, you forget about it, is kind of that law of attraction, right? Which is the universe, and how you get things and how they come to you. Well, when you're deciding whether you want to buy a business or you want to do a starter site, you've literally got your feet in both camps. So you need to take your feet out of one of the camps and decide which one you want to do. And I would say take it out of the start your own site and put it firmly all in on buying a site. That's what we're here for, and that's going to be, it's going to pay off a lot quicker than starting your own site. So I think, like I said, I put in the keep the faith, because that's literally what it is. It's about keeping the faith that it's going to happen, and each one that you miss out on will be closer to the one that you want, that you get. There's just no doubt about it. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And so what's your take on people that want to dip their toe in to this space of buying a site? Like, what's your take on that?
Yeah, look, I think the take is, that's fantastic. It's like I said before, it's another form of investment. Whether it's at some point it's got to be cash flow positive or whatever that is. So for me, I think you've got to look at your reasons for getting into these types of things. Because everything's an investment. Let's be honest. Whether it's time, money, both, or other things that you're trying to learn. So if you're trying to get into it for changing a life, for learning something, you missed the real estate market, so this could be an easier way to get in with money, as an example, then that's a total different realm as well. But I think in this realm, you've got, we're in one of the best times, technology times, and we've got a ability to make money at some whatever that time looks like. So if you're
Mm.
going to dip your toes in, don't just dip your toes in. Put your whole body in. That's how you can make this work.
Oh,
And
this
I think
is
to do that, oh, sorry, you're going to say something?
yeah. I think it's just really good that you said don't just dip your toe in, and I want to bring this up for a topic of discussion because this is something that people are asking in the Bob community a lot, and I think it'd be helpful for people publicly to know is like, should I buy a site for 10K and dip my toe in, or 5K and dip my toe in, or should I spend a bit more of my money and buy something closer to the
Yeah.
100K range? And I think you've got to look at it from the point of view as like, are you gonna, if you do just spend a little bit more cash, like 10K ish, and I appreciate that some people are not at that point of having 10K, and I totally understand everybody's in a different life position and you know living in different areas in the world and stuff like that. So I totally appreciate everybody's in a different position financially. Some people have just been born into better position, so this may not be relevant to everybody, but
Yeah.
if you do have maybe 60, 70, 80 to 100K, and some people are saying, well, maybe I just buy something smaller on the 10K price range. I say, yeah, okay, you can do that, but to buy a site for 10K is very different to buying a site for 100K. I would say before you think about just dipping your toe in, ask yourself, how long do you want to spend replacing your income? Is this a journey that you're going to stay on until you
Mm,
replace your income for 4 or 5 years? If so, then why, like spending 10K when you've got a bit more money, why wouldn't you spend it on a little bit bigger scale? Not obviously you got to play within your comfort zone and not spend all of your money so you can't afford rent if something happens and stuff like that, depending on what your financial position is. But I'll give you an example here. The reason I say this is because some people want to buy a 10K site or under and learn it and learn how to run and
mm,
manage it, when they're in reality, to learn and run and manage a 10K site isn't the same to own and run and grow a 100K site. It's very, very
totally.
different. And it's the same with like a lot of brokers out there is like, before you go away, if they don't have enough money to buy a business, or at the level that these brokers are selling their businesses at, like 100K plus, what they're telling people is that you should go away and start your own little site and just learn
Mm,
WordPress and learn how to use it. When the reality is like you can pick up WordPress like this. And the best way I explain, the best way to learn business is to be in business. Yeah, I'm a bit biased because I teach people to buy businesses, but I also know that in reality is what you're learning through the startup phase is skills and time that can be wasted and that you're not going to use when you're trying to take something from 50K to 100K, because you're not using
totally.
the same skills, you're not doing the same work. It's to take a site from 50K to 100K is very different to take a site from zero money to 50K. It's a very different
Mm,
strategy
totally.
and a
Yeah.
different skills and different tactics you need to learn. So people are misled that they need to learn from the ground to get to up, when the reality is like it's not the same. Once you're on level 2 to 3, it's not the
Mm,
same as going from level 0 to 2. It's just not. And I think to add
totally.
to that as well is that the size of the business is really important. So somebody says, should Jared, I've got 50K. Should I buy a 20K site or should I buy a 40K site? Well, the fact is, and this is a very, very general statement, that a 20K site a 40K site is 2 times more established than a 20K site. It's a very general statement. It's 2 times less risky. It earns
Mm,
twice as much money for half the amount of work. And then the
yeah,
same goes for
exactly.
100K, a 10K site to a 100K site. A 100K site earns it's 10 times more established. It's 10 times less risky, earns 10 times more money for a tenth of the effort and work. And I don't think people have really thought about that or have had that
Mm,
explained to them. So, what's your take on the starting from scratch because you don't have enough money? Do you think that's a
mhm.
worthwhile skill learning? And then, what's your take on the different sizes of the businesses and getting it in at different levels?
Yeah, look, if you'd asked me this about, 8 to 9 months ago, I probably would have had a different answer. But I think I know that you asking me that question now, looking at it and then being in the middle going, this is what I've got, aka, my site. And then this is what I could have. I'd be a fool to think that that learning the experience to get there. I don't need to know how. I want to. I think I've spoken to you about this before. I'm not a mechanic. I don't need to know how my car works. I just need to know that if there's a problem, and that's what you're doing is you're going back to the car in bits and pieces, putting it together, and then trying to get it out on the road. I couldn't give a crap. So I think we've got to say
you don't
no,
need to
not at
know
all.
you don't need to know how to build a car just to drive it to get from A
No,
to B.
no. And this is what we're trying to do to shortcut so that we can get a car that we like, or get a car that makes money, or
Such an
we're using that
amazing
in this realm.
analogy, Scott, because you don't need, imagine going, I need to get from A to B. I'm going to build a car. What a
Yeah, I
crazy
mean,
feat.
do you think Lewis Hamilton knows how to to tune the engine of a Formula One car? No, he doesn't. He just knows how to drive them. That's it.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to know, is even if we don't know how to drive them. So the point being is that, if I'd looked back and gone, so what I think, sorry, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back, but I'm going to go forward by saying people are stuck in this, okay, I've got 10 to 20 or 30K. And then, so if that's not working, right, because this is a very hot market of stock out there, and the stuff's going really quickly. So then you've got to look at the amount that you've got and say, why would I want to go backwards? Why would I want to buy a site for 5 or 10K? There's just too much work. It might as well be a starter site. Sure, you might earn maybe, probably at 10 grand, you might earn, say, $250.
It's in the same category. Buying something under that price range is what I say, under 10K, it's still a starter.
Yeah, and I'd even say
still
20, to be
subject to
honest with you,
fail.
mate.
Yeah.
And there's so many people looking for those businesses. You've got so much competition out there, and that's fine. So then you've got to look at it and say, okay, what do I need to do if I need to look at potential sites that are above the 50K range? Do I have that cash? Okay, I don't have that cash. How can I skin that cat? So I don't want to be in that market of 0 to 20 plus, yep, 50K or whatever. I'm just giving this as an example, like you said before. So the question that you asked is, what are my thoughts? My thoughts are, you've got to look towards higher as much as you can. You can afford it. That's okay. If you can't afford it, what could you do? So if you can afford 20, but you can't afford 40, as an example, because there's lots of people trying to buy in the 20K range. What can you do? Is it a group buy? Is it buying with a whole bunch of people? Is it trying to get parts of it vendor financed? Is it waiting for another couple of years and saving that money?
Yes.
Gary Vaynerchuk spoke about when he was running Wine Library, and he worked for his dad, and he was just earning, what was it, 50 or 60K a year, living at home. But when he finished, after 13 years or something crazy it was, I think it was 20 to 33 or something. And then he said he went and took all that money and bought into Facebook and Uber and all that sort of stuff.
It's delayed.
So you've got
delayed gratification.
Totally.
And people people just want it now, right? Like I'm all about, not about this is the money mindset thing. People are like, how do I have more money? And sometimes people are like, you need to save more money. Well, I'm like, no, if you want to afford things, freaking make more money and work out how you can make more money to get to that goal of buying a site at the size that you want to buy. Maybe it's 50K. Work out how to get there, because you could go the route of spending all of your 10 and 20K on the starter thing and years and years and years, and be left with nothing in 4 years' time or 3 years or 2 years' time, and then have to go, now I've got to earn more money to get to that 50K level, and you've just wasted so much more time of your life, which is a shame to see.
Totally. So just in answer to your question, I think the biggest thing is finding out which part of the market you want to be in, and then move yourself further. Say, great, what would it look like if I could afford a $50,000 site? And that's that mindset. It's that law of attraction going, hey, okay, well, what does it look like? Who could I partner up with? Or, okay, well, this is going to take another year of saving. Great. Well, guess what? In that meantime, sharpen the sword, which is do
Correct.
the due diligence. Find this, have the conversations with sellers. Like I said, I got into, I'm doing, due diligence on a couple of sites yesterday, or on one site yesterday that one of the members sent me through and said, Scott, I think this could be a good site for you. I just went straight to the seller and said, right, let's have a conversation. How much you're looking for. But a lot of people, they need to go back to, I'm straight up. So I like to just go to the seller and go, right, you tell me about this. Here's your traffic. I understand that. Here's your revenue. Yep, that's cool. But I can see some issues here. Hey, by the way, do you write the content? Oh, yeah, I do. Right. Well, I'm not going to buy that, and that's what it came down to, is because that basically the whole revenue, sorry, the whole net profit was going to be taken up on content writing. And that's just something that you learn, right? But I'm better to learn that now than I am to learn that when I
Correct.
bought a 50K site 2 years down the track, and I've got that and I've gone, oh shit, oh okay, well that's half of it. That's half the revenue. That's half the profit gone.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It's
yeah,
it's
so
it's all these little things that you
that add
like.
up.
It seems like a little thing, but it's not. It's a big thing, and you just pick it up along your journey. Like if you're trained well in how to do due diligence. Let me ask you, thinking about it now, and you probably never thought about this, but in hindsight, when you were looking at sites on Motion Invest before you even went down this starter site route, do you feel like the course and the Bob course and the community has, like, what do you feel it's done for you? And just I know that you're straight up, so you tell me if it didn't really help that much, but just, yeah, be honest. Like, what do you, and this is for everybody listening, what do you feel it has or hasn't done for you
Yeah,
compared to
yeah,
where
good
you were
question. I
when you
think
first
it's
started? Yeah.
totally. What it's done is it's kind of cemented in things that you perhaps know, but you subconsciously know, or things that you don't know that you don't know. So it's probably done a lot more of the don't know that I don't know, which has been fantastic. But also, what it's also done is it's kind of, with people asking questions, and I see them and I go, oh, shit, I never thought about that. So there's
Mm.
kind of taking, people coming at from different points of view, whether it's cash flow, whether it's trying to find a specific task, contractor or something. So I think it's all that information there, but it's also helping you to know that you've got the course as your kind of your Bible in the background,
Mm.
going, hey, refer to that, if you need to, or hey, what, there's something not quite right here. I know that Jared or somebody's spoken about that before. I don't know what it looks like, but it rings a bell. And I think those little gut feelings and those bells that go off in your head are the ones that kind of save you the time, hopefully. And you've got to listen to those. So I think that's, definitely that's what it's given to me. There's a huge sense of community in Bob, which is fantastic. And there's a huge sense of people that want to help other people. So it's not just
Mm.
about the community, but it's helping in the community of saying, hey, I like me, I just wanted to help people and say, do not go down the track of setting up your own site or doing a done for you site. Like, I'm very, very adamant on that. Okay. And that's why I said to people, if you want to have a chat about it, ping me,
Yeah.
because we'll have a chat and I'll just give it to you straight. That's what I've, and if if you're really good at that stuff, setting up a site, fantastic. But it comes with a huge caveat.
If
So,
yeah, and
just
those
don't
people that
do
are
it.
really good at setting up a site already know that like
They're
a
not
big
on, they're not
portion.
in your they're not in your community nine times out of 10,
Yeah,
Jared.
yeah, and they
They've
already
already
know
gone
that.
and done it.
Yeah, and they already know that a big portion of the ones that they start are gonna fail.
They're
Like
going
a
to
lot of
fail.
people that go, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna really give this a crack." They'll start like five, and like, all right, the ones that are working will keep monetize a bit more optimized, and then the other ones, they'll just dish aside, and then the other ones, some that have a bit of traction, they'll just like put it for sale on in a group or something somewhere, and they won't make much money. They won't make their money back, or their time back, but they get that it's a numbers game in the startup realm.
Totally.
And I'm just really grateful to have you come on, Scott, especially, you talking about the car analogy. Like if you want to get from A to B, which is you want to go from your current job to replacing your income, there is a vehicle that you can buy, which is a website, right? It could be an online business. You can buy that. But say you can't afford that car, would you go away and build your own car? Would you go away and learn how to build your own car just to be able to drive from A to B? because you can't afford to buy one?
Correct.
Or
Yeah.
would you wait until you've got enough money to buy the right vehicle that can get you there? That's an amazing analogy. So thanks for that.
Yeah, and I probably actually look at it more as pretty more A to C, if it makes sense. So when you're looking to get out or whatever that looks like, and that's one of the good reasons that a lot of us are looking for content sites, is that you could still, if you wanted to, have a job and still have a content site. So don't think of it as I'm trying to get from A to B. I say, well, I'm trying to get from A to C. And the B could be anything in the middle that is going to take me a little bit longer to get there. So what does your C look like? Yep. Who knows? Could be one site, could be just one huge site, could be whatever you want to make it into. I think you've also got to think about it as, it's nice to build your own house. Like, it's nice to have a brand new house that you build, but also there's always issues that come up when you build a house, right? Yep. Well, it's like the site. 9 times out of 99.9% of the time, the issues have been taken care of when you've got them. So that normally, that depends on where you get to, right? So yeah.
It's cool. Good lens and good frame to look at it through. So thanks so much for coming on and chatting, Scott.
No, thanks,
guys.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah, it's been a great chat. I'm sure we'll have more, guys. Thank you for listening. I'll do a shameless plug here. If you haven't gone away and checked out the community, go to buyingonlinebusiness.com. Check it out. There's Scott's in there. There's more awesome, great people that you can connect with and network. And Scott, you've made a bunch of good mates in there. So it's really good to see. So Definitely. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, buddy.
Hey YouTube watcher, if you thought that video was good, you should check out this video here on the 2 best types of websites beginners should buy. Or check out my playlist on how I made my first 100K from buying websites and how to do due diligence. Check it out. It's an awesome playlist. You'll enjoy it.